Luna Ascending by Zaina Wilder. Copyright Zaina Wilder 2024. All rights reserved. Chapter 26. Freya. I'm running again. It feels different. I feel different. Everything's intense. The sunlight through the trees, the sounds, the scents of the forest have never hit me so hard. I take a deep sniff and blanch, unsure I can believe my own senses. It's there though. I can smell Dirk. There's no mistaking that it's him, and he's getting closer. I put on a spurt of speed. I'm screwed. If neither Tavy nor the young shifter survived, then he'll only know that I was there. He won't know I was trying to save them. And he must have known that Mark and I were engaged. Hell, everyone seemed to know. Shit. I forced myself faster, my mind rushing on. He'll assume I was part of the attack. He'll assume I'm the enemy. Raw emotion pours out of me and I drop to all fours, screaming. On hands and knees, it finally hits me. I care about Dirk. I barely know him, but I really care. My feelings for Mark were manipulated, but deep inside I harboured a need for that big, rough, down-to-earth man, for Dirk. And now he hates me. Another wave of pain hits, my emotion so overpowering it knocks the wind out of me. My body does a weird fold in on itself. Glaring at my hands in the dirt, I will myself to get up, to run. But my hands change in front of my eyes and I yelp. They're elongating, growing hair and claws. My tongue lolls over my teeth, which are sharper somehow. What is happening? My heart pounds and I take off again, this time on all fours, running from whatever I've become. My lungs burn with every inhale and my limbs are thick and heavy. Each forward stride more effort than the last. I've been running for hours. My new, sharper senses are dulled by fatigue. I barely register how close Dirk is before he barrels into me. He bowls me clean over, off my feet, and we roll, tumbling through the brush several times before he pins me to the ground. My breath rasps, and I can only hear my heart thudding in my ears. Somehow he's inside my head, demanding roughly that I shift. I panic, writhing at the invasion of my thoughts. Then the realisation that I actually have no idea how to change back hits me, sending another wave of terror rolling over me. He glares, pinning me ever more firmly, waiting me out until finally I stop fighting. Peering warily into my eyes, he shifts to human form. My exhausted brain can't understand why he would make himself vulnerable. My first instinct is self-preservation. I tense, ready to attack. Within seconds, though, I feel oddly calmed, simply by having his body touch mine. My brain climbs slowly down from its complete and utter devastating panic. My breathing evens out, and I gradually become aware that he's talking to me, gently, like you would a child or an injured animal. I finally tune in and realise he's repeating the same thing over and over, chanting it almost. He tells me that he knows what I am, tells me it's okay, tells me he knows what happened in the clearing, that Tavy is okay and that everyone is alive. Relief hits like a wave. I take a deep, steadying breath, and my body gives an odd squeeze, then a gut-wrenching twist. Exhaustion hits me. I'm human again, and I am shattered. I'm also completely and utterly naked. I'm completely naked, pinned under an entirely naked Dirk. Relief, exhaustion, desire. Dirk still has me pinned by the wrists and is looking wearily into my face. Despite my fatigue, a ripple of need runs through me. I arch my back up, straining to capture his mouth in a kiss. He pulls back in surprise. Shit, I've misread his signals. Embarrassment floods me. How could I be so damn stupid? He's just trying to make me shift back. Nothing more. My anxiety ramps up. Blinking back the tears, I stare up into his face, only just catching his half-smirk before he pins me down more firmly. This time, his lips capture mine, his mouth devouring me. This is right. This is home. This is delicious. I'm drowning in sensation. I would happily stay here forever. But my body is aching, fighting total burnout. I'm nearly fainting with fatigue. Dirk must have noticed, because the next thing I know, he's swept me up in his arms and is carrying me through the forest. I come around, propped against his chest in a little hollowed-out cave at the side of a cliff. I couldn't have been asleep for long. It's daylight and my tiredness is still all-consuming. Despite the fatigue, I feel like myself, wholly and truly myself, for the first time in my adult life. My hand runs over Dirk's bare chest with a mind of its own, my fingers tracing the curves of his pecs. I want so badly to explore him, all of him, but my tired body just can't do it. He takes a deep, shuddering breath and catches my hand, stopping things from going further. I watch his face, entranced. He gently caresses my bare ring finger and then touches my wrist where my charm bracelet used to sit. He starts talking, distracting me, distracting us. He explains quietly his theory about my charm bracelet. He thinks that it was magical, laced with spells to keep me and my magic contained. I frown. That bracelet was a present from my aunt. It doesn't make sense, Dirk. I understand Mark wanting to control me, but... I freeze, looking up into his darkening face. Mentioning Mark, without clarifying what I think about him, was a mistake. Dirk and I haven't talked. He doesn't know how completely my opinion of Mark has changed. My stupid mouth. I've only just found this feeling. I don't want to lose it again so quickly. The ring, I gabble. The ring too. Dirk watches me inscrutably, forcing me to continue without giving me a clue as to what he's thinking. Can anything be charmed? I blurt. Like my engagement ring, maybe? Mark and I, we didn't always hit it off. The first time I truly felt something romantically for him was right after I had my little magical incident. I'd given all his family's guests a headache and shattered their chandeliers, blown up the ballroom really, and in the process found out I was a witch. Dirk grins. While destroying Devoudi property is fucking brilliant. Essentially, he took advantage of you feeling vulnerable. Not just that, I sigh. I don't know definitively, but I think the tonic he gave me was laced with a love charm. I did think I was in love with him after that night, I finish quietly. Dirk's grin vanishes, and I rush on before I get cold feet. It worked for a while, but he was always very controlling. Dirk mutters, almost to himself. Tavy thought you were being gaslit. I didn't really believe him. I pause, thrown by the fact they talked about me. I've not really had time to process everything, Dirk. I guess in the end it was gaslighting. My feelings for him were starting to wear thin when he proposed. I hold my breath, waiting for an outburst. I knew you were engaged, Freya. Go on. Of course he did. My thoughts are all muddled. When he proposed, I felt all sorts of things. My ego was massaged, but I remember doubt flooding my mind. We were an odd match. I hadn't even said yes when he pushed the thing on my finger. Once I was wearing the ring, I did feel overcome with an unquestionable knowledge that saying yes was the right thing to do, that we were meant to be. Dirk's face is a mask as I plough on. See, until another magic user told me to practice casting without my jewellery on, I was sure I was in love with him, especially when he was near me. It wore off a little when he was away, but whenever he came home, that pure certainty that he was right for me flooded straight back. When I started practicing my witchcraft with my jewellery off, something changed. He was always mentally controlling. It became more physical too. I just started to realise I had to get out when everything kicked off. When I saw him tonight, with the ring off, the spell finally broke, and I nearly did too. My lip trembles and I bite it to stop from crying. Stealing a glance at Dirk, I hold my breath. He's completely, unnaturally still. I don't know if he believes me. I don't think I can cope if he doesn't. He leans in, his hulking frame intimidating me now. My heart beats faster, fear squeezing at my throat, and then suddenly I'm engulfed in a massive, all-encompassing hug. It's gorgeous. After a minute, though, I have to squirm out of it. I can't breathe, you oaf, I gasp. He grins down at me before sobering up. They did the same to Tavy, Freya, he says. Or at least they tried, with less finesse and more haste. But it would have worked if he hadn't already marked Liz as his mate. The Coven are going after hybrids. They must have known what you were. His face clouds with worry. It was my birthmark. I think Mark worked out I was perhaps something more. And after a little digging, he realised that I was a witch, well before I did. But wait, go back. Liz? My squeal makes Dirk jump, and he stares around for the threat, but I'm busy bashing him on his still very naked chest in excitement. Mated Liz! She never told me! He looks contrite. She should have been the one to break the news. I shrug. Our friendship's been a bit under strain recently, but it's held up. I grin, delighted for my friends, but looking into Dirk's face, my grin slowly fades. What is it, Dirk? He hesitates. Freya, how much do you remember about your first shift? It's pretty common to forget parts of it. All of it, even. They took the cougar, the Coven, they took Liz. You do know that, right? It hits me hard. My brain blocked out that part, briefly. My tiredness, the strain of the day, and the memory of losing Liz. of failing Liz breaks me all over again.